Greetings. My name is Kristen Curry Sr., and my ex wife, Elisha Lewis, is a government information systems specialist with the United States Secret Service. While we have been divorced since 2021, I signed a one sided divorce settlement agreement under extreme emotional duress that gave her sole custody of our 5-year-old son. It also required me to pay over $1,800 per month in child support while I've never made a salary that supports that. And it also required her to sign off on the sale of our condominium that I purchased solely in my name using the VA home loan after 9 years of honorable active duty service in the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Coast Guard. Shortly before signing the divorce settlement agreement, Miss Lewis, I spoke to her candidly, and she acknowledged the fact that she promised me that as the father of her child, of her son, that she would not hinder me from visiting my son during regularly scheduled uh, visitations, despite the sole custody agreement that I signed under emotional duress. However, her tone just a few months after, shortly after I signed the divorce settlement agreement, um, changed completely. Um, and I sent an email to her in the spring of 2022, providing her with the information regarding multiple supervised child custody visitation monitors. So that way I could build back that trust and build back that relationship with my son. So on the email that I sent to her on May the 16th, 2022, I stated, "Hi, Alicia. I'm sending this email to provide you with the information for the Fairfax County Stronger Together program to support our agreement for supervised visitation for CJ. I've started the process of requesting a case manager for our visitation agreement. And the program requires that both parents call the number provided so that we can start our orientation process." And her reply in May of 2022 was, "Good evening, Mr. Curry. Thank you for reaching out to Fairfax County's Stronger Together program. However, as per my request and your mutual agreed written understanding, you are to start speaking to CJ over the phone next month. In person visitations are not to start in June of 2022. Therefore, your need to once again go over my head is a problem for me. Enrollment and in person supervised visitations will only start after I feel comfortable with CJ's response to regularly speaking with you over the phone. Your re entrance into CJ's life will be a gradual process that involves steps. Our son has been traumatized by your behavior, and you must build trust with both myself and him before re entering his life. Therefore, I will let you know when in person visitations will begin. Understood, Mr. Curry?" How am I able to build trust if I'm never granted the opportunity to uh, begin supervised visitation? The supervised visitation program is a 1 year program to where I could build trust with both my son and his mother, so that way I could earn the opportunity for joint custody. But uh, instead, I've been treated like a criminal for the past 3 years by Miss Lewis, who's lied and violated the oath of integrity that she swore to uphold uh, by becoming an employee of the federal civil service. All of her resentment towards me comes from the fact that I asked for a divorce after the multi generational living arrangement that where I had her mother living with us. It exposed her condescending attitude and tone towards both me and her own mother, who she would put in tears during the 2 years that she lived with us. I witnessed this. I asked for a divorce and I left abruptly, immediately following, which is my right. And my son, because I knew that my son was never placed in any harm's way, in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Now, I know I could have left with a little bit more advance notice, but I returned and I tried to build that relationship with my son and Miss Lewis. She has a habit of truancy and consistent lies, as well as her mother. That is extremely dangerous for someone in a position with the Secret Service that requires the highest level of trust, a top secret clearance. Furthermore, I found a realtor after Alicia's seller's agent failed to find an offer on the sale of our condo. My realtor, Mr. Norm O'Donnell, he found multiple offers after the house was on the market for 6 months. And Alicia failed to find those offers. And I placed the house on. I found that a realtor, a seller's agent, and he found multiple offers. However, Ms. Lewis refused to sign off on the offers, forcing our condo into foreclosure as a way to get back at me out of spite because everything was in my name. Our condo and all three of our cars. Now, this her resentment came after 14 years of marriage and being together for 17 years faithfully, two of which we had her mother living with us. As I always desired to have a multi generational household just to benefit our son, just so that way he could have a loving relationship with his grandmother on a daily basis. Aside from the exorbitant amount of child support that I was stuck paying, and the forced foreclosure of our condominium and the parental alienation, Miss Lewis for sure abused her parental rights, abused that parental custodial power by keeping all information about my son away from me for 3 years. Now, what does that mean? That means that I don't know where my son lives. I don't know where he attends school or even what adults my son is around. And I haven't known for 3 years. And in addition to the 3 years of parental alienation, Ms. Lewis has also explained to me that she doesn't feel comfortable with me praying with our son.
Okay, all right. So what was it that you don't want me to do in the future? Not to lead my son in prayer.
No, see, that's the only part you want to record. Why do you
Okay,
not
just
want to
say
record
what you want to
everything?
say. Say what you
Why
want
do
to
you
say.
not want to record everything that I said?
Okay, say what you want to say now.
See, Chris, you're trying to play games. You like to take parts of stories and put them together. You need to tell the entire story. So if you want to record, you should have recorded from the beginning. You don't record every time you're on the call. It's only whenever you feel the need to.
Yeah, but
So that's fine if you
you
feel
got
the
the
need to
brain,
do
right?
so.
You got
Wait
the
a minute,
brain
let
and you
me
got the
finish. I didn't
messages, right?
interrupt
You
you.
have the
I
brain,
did
you have
not
the tongue,
interrupt
you
you,
have the
and you will
spirit, you
not
have the heart,
interrupt
you have
me.
the soul,
You did
right?
not. I did not interrupt you, and you will
Don't
not
listen.
interrupt me. If you want to do that, we will have this conversation to be over, and I mean that. So yes, please stop threatening me. Stop threatening my career. It is like I said. I have a attorney who does a great research.
In addition to the parental alienation, Ms. Lewis has also made a mockery of my psychological recovery, as I was under emotional duress when I signed the divorce settlement agreement, as she lied to the supervised visitation monitor that I found a year after signing the original settlement agreement, and a year after she declined my initial request for supervised visitation. So she lied to the supervised visitation monitor that I found in 2023, uh, in April of 2023, and said that I made homicidal threats to her, which is extremely far from the truth. I never made homicidal threats to her nor my son, given the fact that her alienation and her violation of trust nearly in 2000, in the summer of 2022, in the summer of 2022, when she declined my shortly after she declined my request for supervised visitation the first time, it nearly brought me to the brink of suicide. And she's used my recovery against me, and she's mocked my path to recovery, mocking me in an email response that I sent to the Secret Service requesting to check on the safety of my son since I was alienated for the past 3 years. In an email response that was sent to the U.S. Secret Service's employee abuse mailbox, Miss Lewis stated, "Greetings, Chris. It's unfortunate we're at this point, considering that you have been discharged from 3 psychiatric hospitals. I encourage you to continue with your counseling and medications management." This response alone is a direct violation by a federal civil servant of federal HIPAA laws. And in addition to that, it, I wasn't discharged from 3 psychiatric hospitals. I was hospitalized shortly after the insurrection because of some erratic behavior that I saw from both Miss Lewis and her mother. And in addition to that, I went to the hospital myself in December of 2022 out of frustration for being alienated. And I reported the abuse, the alienation, the fact that I hadn't seen my son, did not know of his whereabouts. Um, I reported that to the staff at Johns Hopkins. When she finally agreed to begin visitation in June 2023, as Father's Day approached, I found a supervised visitation monitor to which Ms. Lewis is documented on the following email telling the monitor, Miss Gina Caruana, that I made homicidal threats. And on the email that was sent in April 2023, um, that follows, to which Miss Caruana stated to me, at this time, I can speak with her, that's Miss Lewis, to find out about the claims of homicidal threats. Moving forward, I will require that visits take place in the courthouse. Well, we were unable to find a courthouse. The supervised monitor canceled the visit, but I was able to see my son with the co-parenting counselor, Dr. Shante White Ely, who was our marital counselor for 2 years, providing supervision accordingly with no threats and no harm um, to my son at all. Ms. Lewis made claims of homicidal threats on my behalf in an effort to portray me, Kristen Curry, a 9-year, 2-branch military veteran and former congressional technology fellow with the U.S. House of Representatives, as a criminal because her mother alienated her as a child, when she was a child, from her father during her childhood years, and just purely out of resentment towards me. In September 2023, the stress from the parental alienation affected my performance on my most recent job to the point that I was laid off. In response to me being laid off, I sent Miss Lewis a $500 payment for child support in lieu of the $1,850 that I would normally send her. I sent her $500 from my VA disability compensation. And her response was as follows. So she stated in the fall of 2023, I saw your email in reference to your $500 child support payment. You are aware the full amount is $1,888, to which that's a lie. It wasn't $1,888. She says, do the right thing and pay the full amount owed to your son per one of the last audio messages that you sent me. And then she quotes, recognizing the signs. And then she says, the number 1888 Blair Hunt is a scientific number in your life for more reasons than one. Do the right thing. To which I had no idea how to reply. So my response was, so I just wrote what she wrote. Do, DUE, the right thing with a check mark, just to out of concern, just to show that I was in compliance, and then I also out of concern of potential retaliation towards my son out of her disdain for me. In addition to her negative response regarding my $500 child support payment, opposed to the $1,800 payment, 1854 payment that I've never made enough money on any of my jobs to make to be able to pay or to warrant that amount of child support. Ms. Lewis also, on an email correspondence that I sent to the Secret Service in October of 2023, requesting to know about the safety of my son after Miss Lewis explained that she no longer wanted me to pray with her son, um, well, Miss Lewis replied via the following Zoom response, not an email response, but this was a Zoom session that I was scheduled to have with my son, where she said, "Hey, you can't pray with your son anymore. That's a violation of my First Amendment right." And the last time I checked, federal civil servants took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States and not abuse power. For an employee of the U.S. Secret Service to continue to get away with parental alienation that is now turning into kidnapping while violating my First Amendment right of freedom of speech by punishing me for praying with my son, by alienating me from my son, even more reflects poorly on the Secret Service as the behavior of someone with a top secret clearance, a clearance of trust, who has violated the trust of the father of her son, does not represent the honesty and integrity that all federal civil servants take the oath of trust to obtain. In God we trust. I'll send this video to all investigating agencies and all civil rights agencies as official documentation of the 3 years of parental alienation and abuse of power, abuse of parental power, custodial power of a federal civil servant who has violated the trust of the father of her son, which in turn represents a violation of the public trust that all employees take an oath to uphold. Thank you. Please feel free to contact me via email and via cell, the number that I provide in the email.